Well, it's time for another video. This one's gonna be a little different though. It's very, well, for one, I'm outside. Couple reasons. One, change of pace. We always see me in the kitchen and in my office. I'm gonna go back to the kitchen in a minute. We'll talk about that. In part for a change of pace. Just to remind us that, wait, hold on, it's very bright out here. Just to remind us that I put on sunglasses. You see how subtle it was? Look at that, sunglasses. Do I look good in these though? I don't know if these are very Bowman. They're, I like them. I kind of wish they were Bowman, but I'm not sure that they are authentically Bowman. Not sure they're really me. I'm gonna try something else. Maybe. These might be more authentically Bowman. I don't know. I don't know that I'm, how can I say? I remember when I got these sunglasses, I didn't feel like they were very me. They're ones I wouldn't have picked out in the store. They were a gift. And I loved them. And I thought they were really cool. And I thought they were something that, like, I don't know, some European gentleman would wear or something while on, like, a wooden powerboat in Switzerland or something. This is all coming to a point, I promise. Here's the point. You're going to have an assignment that's going to get posted right about when this video does, about authenticity. You're going to have to watch an episode of a show called Ugly Delicious. It's on Netflix. You'll get to pick from a few different episodes. The one I'm thinking of, though, there's a pizza episode. That's not the one we're going to talk about right now, although it would work. There's a episode on fried rice. There's an episode on Mexican food. There's an episode on fried chicken. And there's an episode on dumplings versus stuffed pasta in Italian food. That's the one I'm thinking about a lot. Chang talks about, David Chang's the host of the show, he's a chef, and he seems like basically the coolest person in the world. I've known of him. He's very famous. He's got a restaurant called Momofuku that is very famous, big deal stuff. But I really came to know him through the show, and only recently. He's genuine, and he's honest, and he's open, and he reminds me of all my friends who are chefs, which makes me kind of nostalgic. It makes me miss them. But he also seems like a guy I would just generally be friends with. He also has some of the concerns I do when it comes to identity and who we are. And what does it mean to be genuine to ourselves and not to betray ideas about identity. For Chang, this comes across, at least in terms of the show, I won't speak to his soul, comes across in terms of food and authenticness and preparation. Chang is of Korean American descent. He talks about his frustrations about how Korean food, specifically in Asian food in general, is perceived in the United States as kind of lower rent food. It's takeout. It's not treated seriously. And that made me very sad. Actually, one of my favorite restaurants in Denver is a highbrow, fancier Asian place. But that place, it's called Chalan, and it's excellent. The chef there is a white guy. His name's Lon Semenza, I believe is his last name. He came to his work honestly. He trained hard, he did all the work. But I remember when it opened, people kind of went, a white guy making this food? I don't know. And Chang has similar questions. What is it to be of a race and to make food that isn't from your ethnic background? Chang talks about being a trained chef, and he can make anything he wants. But when he eats food made by someone not of that culture, it feels off. Not that the food feels off, but the experience maybe is confusing and disconcerting. That's a thing I want us to think about. What is it to be authentic? What's it to be authentic to ourselves? What's it to be genuine? Can we have appreciation for a thing that's not of us? I think about this a lot. In the music I like, style I like, the community I teach in. I am an outsider. I'm not of the community. I live here, but teaching at a dominantly Latinx, Hispanic, Mexican school, there are things that I am purely an outsider to. And students say to me all the time, you just don't understand because you're not Mexican. I'm not Mexican. I'd like to think I can understand. I'd like to think that through compassion and empathy and putting myself in someone's role, I can understand. But am I fooling myself? And when I cook, if I cook something from another culture, am I fooling myself? Am I unable to do this in a genuine way? Is it like trying to wear these sunglasses, which, as much as I like them, oh, I can fit them over these. I don't know, they're not really me. I don't know if these are me either. And even when I get a haircut, as I got one today, my wife cut my hair, pandemic haircut, quarantine haircut, is that genuinely me? Am I trying too hard to be someone else? These are good questions. So we're gonna cook. We're gonna make Asian style dumplings, pot stickers. Rocket's coming to ask me a question. Rocket, that's not very nice. He came over just to flip me the bird. Do you want to say something nice? Well, Rocket came over just to flip me the bird. He wanted it on camera. I told him that's not going to happen. Is that genuine him? Is that authentic to him, that behavior? I hope not. So we're going to make pot stickers. I'm going to do my best on them. I respect Asian food. I want it to be delicious. I want it to be good. We'll see if I can do so. All right, Rocket, what did you want to tell me? So, we're going to make pot stickers. I'm going to tell you my recipe for them, which, frankly, is not my recipe. It's one borrowed from someone else and modified from them, and they modified it for someone, they modified it for someone. It goes all the way back. When you watch the episode of Ugly Delicious on Netflix, he talks about how dumplings are... they're a food for common people. They're not supposed to be fancy. They're taking whatever you have in the house and making them something wonderful and edible and comforting and warm. I feel that way about them. I feel making them, because they're actually kind of difficult to make, is a labor of love. My boys like them. I like them. We'll see if you make them and your family likes them. And I'll leave it up to you to decide. Am I being authentic? Am I allowed to even call these pot stickers? Am I allowed to think I'm doing something genuine? My emotion is genuine, my heart is genuine in it, my feelings, my sincerity is there, but maybe this is the distinction. I would never tell anyone that I have mastered a thing. One, because I have not mastered it. I'm trying to figure things out all the time. As you'll see, I'm not great at parts of it. They're difficult, but I'm trying. I'm doing my best, and I'm respecting it, and I'm not claiming it as mine. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Maybe that's how it really works. Let's find out. Now we're inside. Now we're gonna go ahead and make my version of dumplings. Now you only need a few things. The cool thing about dumplings is you can kind of use whatever you have. The only thing that's absolutely necessary is you have a dumpling wrapper, you have dumpling skins, and then you have something to put in it. Dumpling skins look like this. You can get them at the store. These say gyoza pot sticker wrappers. They're really, really inexpensive. They're really cheap. And you get a whole lot of them for that. This, whenever I have extra, I just freeze the rest and then I'll use them on the next go. So I'm gonna use these this time. I'm gonna make a lot of pot stickers today. I might actually use this and another pack that I picked up just for this purpose. Now we're gonna make chicken and vegetable. For chicken, we're gonna use ground chicken. You can get ground chicken at the grocery store. It's really inexpensive. And we're just gonna use whatever veggies I have. Now the veggies I happen to have, I've got carrots, I've got scallions, the ones I've been growing in my little garden. Here they are, my little window garden. I've got a bunch of spinach. Spinach is gonna be really good. We'll talk about spinach more in a second. I've got Napa cabbage. Napa cabbage, also not very expensive. None of these are very expensive. My scallions are effectively free because they're ones I've been growing from the last ones that I did. Now, most people would not put spinach in there. Usually you just have cabbage and maybe a little bit of carrot when you get like egg rolls or something like that. They'll say it's a vegetable egg roll, but that's not a lot of vegetable. It's not really much there that's good for you. Cabbage is kind of just crunchy water, really. Carrots have some good vitamins in them, but there's not a lot of carrot in it. I'm gonna put in a lot of carrot. I'm gonna put in a lot of spinach. Now spinach is really cool. It's packed with stuff that's good for you. It also cooks down and kind of disappears in food. Don't tell my children. When I make tomato sauce for pastas, I always put in spinach and then purify it with the blender and just throw it in. They can't tell. The tomato and garlic totally overpowers the taste of the spinach. They just see little green bits and assume it's more herbs. It's full of spinach. Really good kind of secret way to get a lot of healthy stuff in there. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna peel the carrots, we're gonna grate the carrots, we're gonna chop the cabbage, we're gonna chop the spinach, we're gonna chop the onions. All of that is gonna go in this big bowl. Now, after we have it all chopped up and in this bowl, I'm gonna salt it. Now, you need salt for flavor, sure. These don't actually need a lot of flavoring, the pot stickers, because we're going to season them by having like soy sauce to dip them in. But the reason why we're going to salt them is because all these things are full of water, and we want to get as much of that water out as we possibly can, so it doesn't make our pot stickers soggy. So we're going to salt them. The water's going to leach out, and then we're going to press all those chopped veggies and drain all that water, and then we'll be able to make our pot stickers. So, see you in a minute. Let's do some chopping and grating. All right, so I'm getting to the end of this carrot. I'm jumping back in to talk to you about using this thing. When you're going down, it's really important you keep your hand away from what's going on here because of these little knives. Now, as I get down to it, I'm coming down to really the end of my comfort with holding this carrot without losing some pretty serious skin on my knuckles and my thumb. That means that's as much as I'm getting out of this carrot. That's all right. I'll just go on the next carrot. This amount of carrot is not worth losing my fingers over. Not my fingers, but certainly a lot of blood. And then I have to throw away all those carrots anyway because they're gonna be covered in blood, and that's disgusting. Good to know. Okay, so we've grated up all our carrots. Now check this out. When I move this grater, you can see all the carrots come running out. Whoop, there we go. That's a bunch of carrots right there. I know, right? I'm gonna take all of it and I'm gonna put it in my big bowl. Can you taste it?
Yeah.
It just tastes like carrots, buddy.
I like it.
Here, have a little tiny carrot. Here you go. Here.
Yummy.
Here you go, try it. All right, so now it's probably staying in my hands orange, but that's okay. Next, we're gonna chop up this Napa cabbage. This Napa cabbage, I want it in pretty thin strips and slices. So I'm gonna chop this up and I'm gonna throw this into the same bowl. Okay, I've chopped up all the veggies. I've put them in a bowl. There they are, veggies in a bowl. Now this looks like an enormous amount of veggies, which, well, it kind of is. A lot of what's in here right now is air, and a lot of the rest of what's in there is just water. Since we're gonna salt it, it's gonna leach and pull a lot of that water out, and then we're gonna press it and squeeze it out. Let's salt this thing. So, for salting, I've got my salt cellar here. You don't need to have a salt cellar. I find it really convenient. I'm just gonna take pinches of salt and put them in here. Now in a moment, I'm gonna use my hands. I'm just gonna mix this all up to spread that salt around. Now I'm gonna use a decent amount of salt here, if I'm being honest. I should really switch hands. I'm gonna use a decent amount of salt, which runs the risk of making this too salty. But after I press out all that water, one, a lot of salt's gonna come out with that. Two, I might rinse it off real quick and then press it all out again, just rinsing off the excess salt. We're gonna get salt in this thing. It's gonna be plenty salty because I'm gonna season it with soy sauce, and that's gonna put a lot of salt back into this thing. So don't worry, it's gonna have plenty of flavor. The salt at this point is being used more just for its chemical reactive properties than for flavor. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes, something like that, not very long. That big bowl of veggies, I just pressed down on it and a bunch of water came out. And it wasn't really as much salt. I put in a couple more pinches after I turned off the camera. Still wasn't that much salt. Tossed it all. We had that huge bowl of veggies. It was totally full, right? Check this out. It is now about half full. It's a little hard to tell with the reflections there, but it was over the top to here, to here, and now look how deep my hand goes. It goes in good 3 inches or so. There's now very little vegetables there. But I didn't take any vegetables out. That's how much this reduces with the salt taking out a lot of water and all that air coming out of it. It's really not that much. So now I'm gonna press it a little bit more. I'm gonna run it through a strainer. I'll get some video of that too, and we can see how much more water we can get out of this thing. As you could see, I ended up with about as much vegetables as I can fit in both hands mashing together. Which, going from a giant mixing bowl to that's pretty considerable how much that reduced and how much liquid was taken out. Next, I'm gonna put in my flavorings. Now, I tasted it. I don't think I need to rinse off the salt. I didn't use as much as I have in the past. It's good. It's not too salty. Could use a little more. That's great. That's where I want to be, so I can season it. Now, I'm putting a couple things. I'm gonna put in my ground chicken. It's 1 pound of chicken. Well, it says it's a pound of chicken. Realistically, it's probably not. Probably close to 14 ounces or so. Because when they weigh this little pad in the bottom that absorbs moisture, but let's just say it's a pound. So that's all gonna go in. My pound of chicken, it is going in raw, so I wanna be careful with what I touch from here on out. There's my raw chicken in there. Also, it means I can't eat any of these things without fully cooking them. We'll talk about cooking these pot stickers in a bit. Then I'm gonna have about a half a tablespoon of lemongrass. I haven't put in lemongrass before. I always try something new every time I cook. I got this at the store, pre-chopped, which is pretty convenient. I rarely do pre-chop stuff, but I was kind of in a hurry for these things. That's about half there. Boop. Now I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon ginger. Same thing, got it pre-chopped, I usually don't, but ginger I usually get pre-chopped. Ginger's a giant pain in the butt. If you can possibly get your ginger pre-chopped, do it. Ginger's a giant bummer. I'm gonna put a little more. Boop, there we go. Just to apologize to the ginger spirits for calling it hard to deal with. I don't know. Garlic, I love garlic. I almost never do the pre thing on this, but it was on sale. If I got the other, I could get this for cheap. So I was like, you know what, why not? Whoa, I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of garlic, maybe more. I'm just gonna finish this thing off because I love me some garlic. I love it. Here we go, squeeze it all out. That's probably another tablespoon there. So we went probably 3 tablespoons there, maybe 3.5, something in there, which suits me just fine. Time for seasoning. Now to keep it simple on this, I'm gonna do a tablespoon of everything. So I'm gonna do a tablespoon of soy sauce. Got my soy sauce right here, reduced sodium, to try and make myself a little bit healthier. Now normally you do 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. The thing is, my mom is allergic to soy sauce. She's allergic to soy. And so I keep in the house something called coconut aminos. It's a soy sauce replacement. Now of course you already can't have this because I just put the soy sauce in it. But I keep this around as a soy sauce replacement. I've grown to really like how it tastes. It's a little more expensive than soy sauce, but sweeter and it has a more delicate flavor. It's not as salty. So I'm gonna do a tablespoon of this to reduce my salt and give it a little bit of sweetness. I just really think they're cool. I think they're really neat coconut aminos. So I'm gonna put that in. There we go. Next, I have my sesame oil. I'm gonna do a tablespoon of my sesame oil. Sesame oil, you can get it in any grocery store. Sesame oil can be insanely expensive. And if you don't get the generic or the store brand, it is gonna cost a lot. So go ahead and get the generic, it doesn't make any difference. Now's the part that's kind of fun to get anyone in the action as long as they have clean hands. That's the mixing. I suppose you get out a spoon. I find better results by doing it with my hands. Here we go. Hey, all right, so you've noticed I'm wearing a different shirt. It's because it's the next day. I ran out of time because pot stickers take a lot of time. Asian dumplings take a lot of time to make, and I'm not very fast at them, and that's okay, that's fine. But now is the most exciting and challenging part, making the dumplings, actually folding them up, and this is kind of hard. Now, I've got my dumpling wrappers, which are right here. Now, you could make these. So they're just a flour and water dough. They're really simple. I did not make these. I did just buy these, but you could make them if you had the time. You just want to roll them out real thin. Now, different websites are going to tell you different techniques on how to seal these up. But here's what I've learned to be the best one. I take the wonton wrapper and I dip it half in a bowl of water, maybe 2/3. And then that's going to be how I'm going to kind of glue this together. I take some of my stuffing, less stuffing than you think. You're not going to have a lot of room in here. Then you're going to pinch the sides like this, like a little envelope. And then for sealing it, if you just leave it like this, it's not going to work. You need to do a lot of pinching. So I fold over this and pinch it shut. And then I make these little kind of folds in here, folding them over and pinching them together. And you can see why it takes so long to make a meal worth of dumplings. And there, I have my little dumpling. And I've gotten, I think, pretty decent at it. I'm not amazing at it, but I think I'm okay. Now I have my floured piece of paper here inside my pan. This is how I'm gonna store them. Now I have the flour here so things don't get sticky. They don't stick to this, because otherwise it's gonna be bad. I'm gonna fill this whole thing with as many as I can, and then I'm gonna freeze them in a single layer like this, not touching each other. After they're frozen, I'll be able to take them and put them in Ziploc bags to store them more easily and not take up a bunch of room in my freezer. But at first, I'm gonna be keeping them well away from each other. Had a nose scratch. I'm gonna keep them well away from each other while they're setting up and when I'm getting ready to freeze them. Now, if I don't fold these successfully, if I don't get them really pinched in, they're gonna unfold on me, they're gonna open up when I cook them. And that is gonna be a terrible disaster for me. That's gonna be bad news, that's gonna become a mess. Oh, almost forgot. So, but that works out. So I forgot to put the thing on it. Other techniques are people say put a finger or thumb in there and just wash the edges of this. That should work out okay. I might have a little too much stuffing in there. That's okay. So some people say you need to use egg or something like that to seal this up. I can see where that would help. The protein would bond it, but as long as you do a good job pinching and folding, you're gonna be okay. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit when I finish this up, because this is gonna take a while. I have probably 75 of these to do. See you in a bit. Okay, so now my wife, Miss Mickey, and Jet are gonna try to do it.
Okay.
Jet, there you go.
Thank you.
All right. I want to do the second technique.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Okay, I'll give you your spoonful. Do you want to put it in, or do you want me to?
I want to.
And then I'm gonna do like this
Now, you
one.
definitely don't need all that, Jet. You need a very small amount of that. That's way too much. I mean, more than that. Use, oh, that's, okay. Like less than half that much.
Ooh, I accidentally grabbed 2. Is it supposed to be like this?
Nope, you grab 2, but that's okay.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
So
Okay,
then
Jet,
I'll just...
put this down. That's okay. So you gotta pinch them real tight. And then fold them.
Okay. How are you doing, mister? Okay.
Okay, you want to start at the end, Jet. Don't start in the middle. And you gotta, okay, you gotta pinch them so that they make little crests. See, they make little ridges that are real tight there. See, that's just kind of mushing it all together.
It's very
see how
difficult. It's very
Miss
difficult.
Mickey's is going.
Okay.
It does take some.
Look at This is not going as planned.
It is not easy to do.
Not easy.
It
now,
does take some real
do you
practice.
go back and forth? So I went 2 different directions, and they're like kind of.
I generally don't go 2 different directions.
Okay.
Like where it gives a that's simply it looks like a calzone or a pierogi.
So there's mine.
There are some dumplings that look more like that. Certainly, I don't think that's bad. I think that's all right.
Okay, there it
This
is.
should be on nailed it.
It should be on nailed it. This is very much
Hold
a
on,
nailed
look
it
at
kind
them
of
all.
activity.
Look at them together. Oh.
Let's see the line up here.
Oh.
Can you tell who did what? I think that's the pro one right there. That one's pretty expert.
Hey, as Rocket would say,
Not bad.
Rocket would say this.
Joe, what do you think? I think you guys did pretty good for your first one. It's pretty hard to do.
It's very hard. You make it look easy, and it's not that easy.
It is not easy. Rocket, what do you think? That's not a nice thing to do. Here I am folding them all up. I actually made close to 90 with all that, so I made a lot of them. I want to talk about cooking them real quick. Cook them in a pan with a little bit of oil. I use sesame oil and vegetable oil. Pour in 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of water. Let it all cook out. It'll take about 8 minutes or so. You want the oil hot when you put them down. After that 8 minutes, they'll be just sauteed. They'll be frying in the oil. When they're done frying in the oil, pull them out, put them on a plate with paper towels to kind of get some of the excess oil off of them, and then they're ready to eat. They're gonna be delicious. Okay, see you in a minute. Bye. Well, I finished them. Here they are. I've got my pot stickers. I made myself a little sauce. It's just coconut aminos and soy sauce, a little bit of water, some scallions from my little garden in my window. Here's a question as we do this. I've got my pot stickers that I made. How should I eat them? Should I use this fork? Should I use these chopsticks? It's kind of a silly question. I'm not very good with chopsticks. I'm okay with them. I'm not great with them. I'm okay. I can do it. This feels phony to me because of where I come from, my heritage, all the rest. I use them when I'm in a Chinese restaurant. I can use them well enough. I use them in a Japanese restaurant. Wherever I'm presented with them, I'm happy to use them. But is it genuine to me? Is it authentic? Is this somehow disrespectful to the food? That's a really good question. Is using this disrespectful? Is me making this disrespectful? Is it purely a race thing? I come from mostly Polish and English descent is my understanding. Family history is all a little bit foggy. Can I cook Italian food? I'm not Italian. Of all things I know about me, I know I'm not Italian. And it's my favorite food, next to Chinese. Am I allowed to cook either of these? Is it authentic in any way? Try this. If I was trained to cook these things, if I was adopted by an Italian family, if I was adopted by a Chinese family, would that change all these questions? If I was trained by one of those chefs, I spent 5 years training with that chef, would that change this question? I don't know. Here's one I was thinking about last night. There are robots making food. There's a chef, I'll find the article, I'll link it to all this stuff. There's an article, this chef was wearing these kind of like computerized gloves, right? And being read by all these cameras. And he made a meal. They had measurements of precisely what he did and when he did it. Exactly what the measurements were for how he moved his hands, for when he checked things and how he checked them, for exactly how much salt he used, flour, on and on. And they used that information to program a robot to cook exactly like he did. Let's name this chef, I don't know, Q. If they had a robot make a meal exactly like Q did, is it now a Q-style meal? Am I allowed to do this? Is it authentic? It's not a chain restaurant. Is it more authentic than Panda Express? I'm not against Panda Express. Affordable fast food that serves vegetables to people, I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I think you'd be hard-pressed to say it's authentic. Is this more or less authentic? I'm doing it in my home. I'm doing it from scratch, more or less, except for the wrappers. I'm doing it for my family. I don't know. Is that robot, if a robot made exactly the same meal as that grandmother in Shanghai, if it's doing exactly what she did, is that what makes it authentic? If I take that Shanghai grandmother and I put her in a 5-star kitchen in a restaurant, is it more or less authentic? Same person, different environment, not cooking for her family, cooking for whoever comes to the restaurant. What's that do to this? If you are of whatever descent you're of Mexican descent, you're of Italian descent, you're of Peruvian descent, you're Lithuanian, you're Saudi Arabian, whatever it is, if I come to your home, have I ruined the experience, even though I didn't cook it? If I'm eating in your home, have I obscured and ruined the idea of authenticity by being there? We didn't get to read David Foster Wallace this year. We will in future years. Hopefully I'll use this video again. He talks about this idea of tourism, of when you're a tourist, you essentially ruin the thing you went there to observe. By virtue of going there, you have ruined the thing itself. Am I ruining the foods I love? Or am I being respectful? Am I preserving them? I'll say this. I'm doing my best, I'll pick them up by hand, to preserve this. I'm hoping these will be good. They're pretty good. Pretty legitimate. Are they legitimate? I don't know. I do know they're delicious. I know I'm trying my best. And I'm always doing my best to be respectful. I look forward to reading what you have to write to the prompt. Enjoy Ugly Delicious. Enjoy making this for your family, or whatever you make for your family. Cooking food and putting your heart into it, doing the labor and giving it to those you love, is a good and pure thing. All right, see you later.